Hey guys, today we're going to be having a look at cleaning a 2.2 rimfire. I'm going to show you some tips and techniques that will apply across all the platforms, so not just your semi-automatics but your bolt actions too. I've got my SIG Sauer 522 here, and I'm going to show you some of the equipment I use, some of the techniques I use, just what I like to do when I'm cleaning my rimfire.
Just before we get into the video, this isn't a video intended to show a full disassembly and cleaning procedure of the SIG or any rifle. It is intended to provide a few tips into what to look at when cleaning your rifle, so hopefully you can apply them to your specific rifle just to help you out.
So for the majority of what I'll be using today is going to be some of this Parker Hale 009 powder solvent. These various cleaning brushes, dental pick, and various cleaning patches. I have a few different cleaning patches here. I have the traditional, like your bog roll, your toilet roll. This is really versatile stuff. It's not particularly expensive. This is a couple of pounds, so $5, something like that. You can cut the patches to whatever size you need, so you can use these for cleaning the bore, or you can cut smaller sections or bigger sections depending on what you're trying to clean. This Pro Shot stuff, I really like these. I normally use these on my centerfire rifles, so your 30 cals and your 223s. However, I do use these when I'm patching the bore of a 2.2 rimfire as well. And just over here we have, this is I believe these are Otis, these ones, and they're a slightly different style. So just grab these just here. These kind of patches, you'd use one of the spear tips, and for the Otis you'd either use one of the loops, which I don't have to hand, or something like this jag you could use with it as well. This is a gun specific cleaning brush. It's made by Tetragun. You have the like a toothbrush wide end this end here, fairly stiff bristles, but a really narrow little end down here, and these are nylon bristles, so they're not going to harm any of your steel or any of your metal finishes there. Really useful for getting into the hard to reach places, that one. Just some standard toothbrushes. These are always worth keeping, so once you're finished with them, don't chuck them out. They make excellent little general purpose cleaning brushes as well for your firearms. Fine pair of tweezers, they're always quite useful. You can use these sometimes as a little bit of a pick if you're gentle with them. And this is some sort of dental pick that I picked up years ago, really handy for cleaning in little extractor grooves or bolt faces and little corners and things like that, so that's something quite useful there as well. This is a neat little handy trick. I use this across for cleaning all my rifles. This stuff, from memory as well, the Hoppies solvent really stinks. It's quite a sweet smell to it, but it's quite nauseating. So here what I've done is, this was a little jar I got. I think this was like a fish paste, so you can get this in your local supermarket, probably about 50p, a buck for a little jar like that with some paste in it. Use up your paste and clean it out thoroughly. Pre-cut your patches and then just soak them in a little bit of the solvent, and then as you're replacing patches every couple of weeks or so, just put a few drops of the solvent in. These are then perfectly wetted right the way through. They're wet right the way through. They're not overly saturated, they're not soaking in one area. I find that really handy, and then it's really easy for when you come to do your cleaning. Okay. When you're cleaning the internals of your upper receiver, be this on a bolt action, a semi-auto, or whatever platform it may be, the golden rule for me is that you need to make sure your bolt track is clean, your breech face is clean, your bolt is clean, your extractor and your ejector are clean. If you keep those areas clean, and your magazine as well, if you keep those areas clean, it's going to be a lot
Easier to maintain for the future, to keep it clean. Get in here with a wetted toothbrush with your powder solvent or with the wet patches, and just work on any of those little areas. You don't need to go mad, but just try to keep those clean as best as possible. I have a suppressor for this rifle, and I generally don't advocate cleaning them, mainly because the exposure to the lead and the toxic elements there inside them. But I do recommend inspecting them every now and again, or after a few thousand rounds, just to make sure there's nothing getting in there that's going to cause you any problems. Just open them up and pull it out like so, and I just gently tap them down and have a quick look. Don't go breathing it in, and only clean it if it's really bad. And quickly you can put it back together and you're good to go. Onto the muzzle necks, really important here.
With a very soft bristled brush, apply your powder solvent, or to start off with one of your patches. Try to do this as regularly as possible. You also want to avoid using any metal tools on this, so start off with one of these pre-wetted patches, and I'm hardly using any pressure, but I'm just going to give that a bit of a clean up like so. It's not perfect, but let's have another quick go, get a little bit more off. So that's probably good enough, again, for the purpose of what I'm using this rifle for. I certainly don't now want to be grabbing steel or anything like that and scratching it, because you'll damage the crown or the inside of the rifle in there. Whether you're running a muzzle brake or flash suppressor or anything like that on the end, it's always a good little idea to, again, just wipe your threads of your muzzle device there, whatever one you're using. Just give it a little wipe just before you put it back on. Sometimes, depending on what sort of muzzle device you're using, you may want to use a little tiny bit of grease or not. It entirely depends on your shooting application.
I generally don't recommend cleaning much to do with the fire control group. Just give this a brush out, make sure there's no obvious debris.
Okay, so a real quick little recap for just the key points. Ensure your bolt face is clean, your bolt body, your extractor. You may have noticed I've not cleaned the bore of this rifle. I very rarely clean the bore of a 2.2 rimfire with a brush system. If I do clean the bore of one, I tend to use a nylon bristled brush, set it in a little rig like this and clean it very gently. I would only consider cleaning the bore of a rifle like something like this if for whatever reason you're having some really horrendous groupings. Generally speaking, just leave it alone. A bore snake once every 6 months or so, or after thousands of rounds, just to keep everything running. But really simple, just the key main takeaway points. Keep your bolt face and extractor clean, keep the bolt body clean, keep the little track inside where the bolt runs clean, and the breech face. Magazines are slightly different. They should be kept as clean as possible as well if you can. Just don't need to open them up, it's just a general wipe over of any excessive powder build-up. If they're working perfectly, don't fiddle with them. That's pretty much it. So thanks for watching. Hopefully there's been something useful for you there. Cleaning your rimfire isn't necessarily a fun part of it. Obviously blasting through thousands of rounds at the range is, but if you keep it short and simple and sweet, it's not a massive task, and it makes it a lot easier to do down the line. So thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe.